Downloaded Claude Skills are generic. They're bloated and at the same time they are context, but it's not even their biggest problem. They're still built for one task at a time. Think copywriting, researching, whatever. While real businesses don't operate like that at all, because real work isn't one process document with 5 different steps. It's a sequence of processes that need to connect to each other. So if you keep thinking of skills in isolation, you'll never build out systems that run end to end. So in this video, I'll show you how to turn your skills into building blocks for bigger workflows. This is what I call skills systems. So each output feeds into the next and actually drives a real business goal. Okay, so before we get into what skill systems actually look like, I need to talk you through the 2 ways most people are getting this wrong right now. Because if I just jump straight into the answer, you'll do what everyone does, nod along, agree it makes sense, and then go and make these 2 mistakes. So mistake number 1 is thinking of skills in isolation. So the easiest way to understand this is to think about how an actual marketing team works. So you've got an email marketer. Their main job is writing emails, but they're also a strong copywriter. So they can jump in when social teams need captions. They can read a GA4 dashboard. So when a launch wraps up, they can pull open rates themselves and then feed that back into next month's campaign. That's how real work gets done. Hand crossover, the output of one person becoming the input for the next. Now, imagine you hired an email marketer who refused to do any of that. You ask for an email, they write that, great. Then they clock off, job done. You're left finding the topic, researching the visuals, pulling the data, writing the subject line variants, and then scheduling it and reading the numbers afterwards. That's a skill in isolation. You download a copywriting skill. It could be one off Marketplace, could be one you built yourself. It doesn't matter. You ask it to draft a LinkedIn post and it does that. You've got a draft. Then what? You go and do the research yourself, you go and find the visual yourself, and then you go and post it yourself. You've used Claude Code like a chatbot. Can you see the pattern here? 1 question, 1 answer. The skill did 1 job. You did the other 5. And you're still acting as the connector. You're the marketing department. And that's not a skill problem. That's a thinking problem or a workflow problem. So mistake number 2. This is the mega skill. And I have made some of these in the past. That's how I started making skills. So this is the opposite end of the spectrum. And honestly, I think it's worse because people feel the pain of skills in isolation, so they overcorrect and just shove everything into one skill. So let's go back to the marketing analogy. Imagine instead of building a team, you hired one person doing every single job. The strategy, the copy, the design, the ads, the analytics. You would never do that to a human. But people do this to skills all the time. People build a giant skill that tries to do everything all at once and ends up doing nothing really that well. And what happens is you lose some of the parts that make skills so good. This sounds smart and it looks super impressive on the marketplace. If we look at these, they are probably all being built by AI, which is verbose at the best of time. And so you lose what makes a skill so good, modularity. So for example, the copywriting logic is locked inside. You can't use it for newsletters or landing pages. You lose that maintainability. So every update means hunting through 1,000 lines. You lose progressive disclosure. Everything loads at once, which causes the context to start to rot and the quality drops. And you lose the ability to debug. When something goes wrong, you've got no idea. Both are wrong. And the answer's in the middle. A skill system is small focused skills wired together by one orchestrator skill. That's it. That's the whole concept here. So research, copy, visuals, schedule. Same as how your marketing team would work. Each person does what they're best at. Someone runs the room and knows what hands off to who and in what order. When to flag something for you to approve. Small skills doing 1 job each, 1 orchestrator at the top that runs them in sequence. You give 1 prompt and the orchestrator takes that prompt, runs the chain, research, copy, visual, schedule, and drops in you at a checkpoint where it makes sense. You approve, then it carries on. This is actually how my content system works. And an orchestrator needs to know 5 things to actually work. These are the same 5 things that any half-decent team lead would know. So the first one is architecture. Which skills to run in what order? Like knowing whether the copywriter starts before or the designer. Second is inputs. What each skill needs to do its job. Same as briefing a person properly complete a project meeting, so they don't come back and ask 3 follow-up questions. Number 3 is handoff, how the output of one becomes the clean input for the next skill. And this is where you step in and approve before it carries on. The show me the draft before we send it moment. And this is exactly how my content system runs. And display, how the results actually show back to you. A clean summary, not a pile of files. 5 things, don't overthink it. We're going to come back to this. Okay, so what does this actually look like in a real business, I hear you ask? Let me walk you through 3 systems that you can run in your business today. So system 1 is the pre-call brief builder. So a call gets booked through your booking link, say Calendly, and the skill system kicks in from here. So we've got lead research skill, scrapes their site and LinkedIn for context. The brief builder skill creates a 1-pager prep document. The email drafter skill replies with a tailored email and anything that they need to do to prep for the call. And then you can send that before the call. So by the time you walk into the call, you already know who they are and how you can help them every time. No more, sorry, can you remind me where you're at or what your business does? Here's something important. The trigger, the Calendly booking, isn't a skill. And that is one of the limitations of skills. Skills currently can't reach into apps and pull out stuff themselves at the trigger. Skill processes what gets handed to them. The trigger is a separate layer. So this could be a scheduled task that watches for the bookings and hands it over to the skill chain in something like Claude Cowork. If you're working in Claude Chat, the most accessible version of this would be you would open the chat and paste in either the Calendly booking notification or say go into my emails and grab that out and run the pre-call brief. That's it. And then the orchestrator picks that up and runs the chain. So you can see how this is a little bit different to Cowork. And then in code, the trigger could also run in the background by watching your emails daily, something like that, and then trigger those skills underneath. All right. System 2, discovery call to proposal. A call ends with a client or prospect. The transcript skill pulls that call. The research skill pulls context on their business, and so that would be the same skill for the discovery call booking. The proposal skill drafts the proposal, and the email skill sends it with a cover note. Call ends, and the proposal lands in their inbox, all while you're making coffee. So it's the same idea here, it's just a different chain of events, and each skill is still doing a job, and there's that orchestrator skill sitting above them saying, this is what happens, do this, then this, then this. System 3 is a weekly content production. So a YouTube URL goes in, you can drop that in manually. For Claude Chat in Cowork or Code, you could have something watching for this trigger. Say it could be when a new video is published and the transcript skill pulls in that video. The hook generator skill creates 5 angles for short form. The carousel builder builds branded slides. And the schedule skill posts it across Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and X. So one YouTube video becomes a full week of content across every platform. Again, this is the same pattern as the other 2 systems. So you can start to see this. So here's the part that completely changes how you think about this whole thing. Look at what's actually happening here. It's the exact same skill running across all 3 systems. In the brief builder, it's pulling transcripts from past calls. In discovery to proposal, it's pulling in discovery calls. And in content production, it's pulling in YouTube video transcripts. One skill, multiple different use cases. YouTube videos, podcast episodes, sales calls, etc. And so as part of this skill, you would route it to discovery calls, podcast episodes, client interviews, and all of that would sit in that skill. Do this, then this. Same with the lead research skill. So you build it once, it runs in the pre-call brief, it runs in the discovery to proposal, it runs anywhere I need to know who someone is before I do something for them. 20 to 30 skills. That's how many skills it takes to run 10 plus skill systems across your whole business. So because every skill plugs into multiple systems, you're not building 50 skills for 50 workflows. You're building one library of skills and that everything can draw from as needed. 20 to 30 skills built once, and then your systems or your orchestrators across that. So those skills can be used everywhere. So how do we actually build one of these? There's 5 steps when building these skill systems, and I'm going to ground each one in the systems that I just walked you through as the example, so you can see exactly what this looks like and how to set these up yourself. So step 1, we need to pick the trigger, like what kicks it off. And if you're familiar with automations, you would know every automation needs a trigger. For the pre-call brief, the trigger's a Calendly booking. For discovery call to proposal, it's the Fathom recording landing in your Google Drive. For weekly content, it's a YouTube URL going in. Step 2, we want to list the jobs. So 1 verb each, that's all you need. So the pre-call brief had 4. Research the lead, build the brief, draft the email, and hand it to me for review. If a step has and in it, that's 2 jobs. So you can split these out. Step 3, build each as its own skill file. Small, focused, reusable skills. The lead research skill in the pre-call brief, same one that you can use in your discovery to proposal. That's exactly why it's its own file. So it can plug into both rather than being buried in these mega skills. 4, we want to wire them together with an orchestrator. This is the brain of our skill system. So in pre-call brief, the orchestrator knows the steps are you scrape first, then you brief, then you draft an email, and then you hand it to Brooke for review. That's the order. And step 5 is you drop in the you checkpoints. So this is super important. Where does the human in the loop need to sit? For me, on a pre-call brief, that's before the email goes out to a potential lead. I would read it, I would approve it, and then it sends it. And then that way, this system can run without me right up until that bit that needs me for review. So we want to start with skills we'll reuse the most. Obviously, not every skill will fit into these skill systems perfectly. So think about things like transcript, brand voice, research skills, and then how they fit into different systems. There's also 3 rules to lock this in. So rule number 1 is 1 skill, 1 job. So the lead research skill scrapes a website and a LinkedIn or any other place you think someone might be visible. That's it. It doesn't also draft emails. It doesn't also build the brief, because the moment it does, these skills start to get bloated and you've accidentally built yourself a mega skill in disguise. And you've lost the ability to plug lead research into discovery to proposal, because now it's all tangled up in with the brief building logic. Rule number 2, build the skill, not the system. So when I built my own transcript skill, I didn't just build it for discovery calls. I built it knowing that I would also run it on YouTube videos too, and podcast episodes, and even TikToks. So anywhere a transcript exists, essentially. That's why it can slot into 3 systems. Build every skill for every system it might plug into, not just the one that you're working on right now. Rule number 3, update once, every system upgrades. And this is the key point. This is why skill systems are so important, because every system upgrades. This is where the leverage compounds. So when you improve that transcript skill once with, say, better timestamps, cleaner output, smarter speaker labels, pre-call brief, discovery to proposal, and weekly content skill systems all get that upgrade at the same time. So you fix it once somewhere and it gets distributed out your skill systems. So 3 systems have just been upgraded, and that's the whole game, because if not, you have to remember which skills that is in, and when you go to use one and you haven't updated, you'll be like, shit, I didn't update this one. This transcript part is buried in the skill. So building skills is the easy part, believe it or not. But if you want help to create these skill systems, if you want to learn more about Claude, Cowork, and Code, as well as other AI systems, you need to be a part of the Wright membership, where I help women founders use AI well and have a community to ask questions, share your builds, all of that sort of stuff, to make sure that you are not overwhelmed by all of the AI changes that are out there. I'll leave a link for the membership in the description below, and I hope to see you in there. And make sure you like and subscribe this channel so that you don't miss out on any more videos. And I will see you on the next one.